Welcome to After Dark Creations Art and Review. I'm Jen, your artist and monster buddy, here to share my love of cult films, music, movies, books, and monsters with you. This week we're doing something a little different. This is a get to know me video. So I'm going to share a little bit of information about myself, how I got into art, how I got into the horror pop scene, and kind of what I'm up to. So let's go ahead and get started. So I was in my late teens, 19 years old, almost moving into 20s when I started getting into art. I've always been around creative people. My dad is an artist. My mom loved writing and she was very crafty and creative. So I grew up in a very creatively nurturing environment. My brother is a really good artist and he's always been doing really artsy things. So I had a great foundation to start from. When I told my parents I wanted to become an artist, they were very supportive. They told me, go ahead, go to college, immerse yourself in the history of art and the different movements so that way I would have a good foundation. But right before I was going to go to school, my mom passed away very suddenly. She died of a brain aneurysm and that shook my world. I had conversations with her about, how do I grow up? I felt like such a kid at 19 because I still lived at home. I was very, I didn't have a lot of independence. They still helped pay a lot of my bills. So I was asking her, how do you become an adult? And she said, life does it to you. Give life enough time and suddenly you realize you're adulting. That was surprisingly prophetic because I felt like her death really catapulted me into the adult world. So following her passing, I wanted to follow her advice and I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna get my degree in art and that's what I'm gonna do. So I did. It took a little while longer to get my degree. Fortunately, just as I got accepted into San Diego State that summer, I had a really bad flare-up of multiple sclerosis. Now, I didn't know what it was at the time, so I just knew my legs went numb and I kind of freaked out, went to the hospital and they were like, oh, you have MS. I ended up having to go to school a semester later and it kind of backtracked and slowed everything down, all of my progress. But it also gave me the ability to work on my craft as an artist because I was able to focus on something. I had all this confusion and frustration. I was scared. Art saved me. I was able to focus on the art, gave me purpose. I started doing art that was culturally significant to me. My mom is Hispanic. She's Mexican American. And when she passed, I was afraid I was going to lose my connection with my culture. My dad is Irish American. He's redheaded and freckly and awesome. And, he kept a lot of my mom's traditions. We still do tamales on Christmas Eve and Dia De Los Muertos. There's a big altar to my mom every year. So we keep with the culturally significant traditions, but I wanted to honor her through my art. So that's how my beginning art was. It was all Day of the Dead stuff, lots of skulls, sugar skulls, death motifs. It was kind of my way of processing her loss. Eventually, I started developing into the pop scene. I've always loved horror films. I've always loved punk music. I started infusing that into my work. And yes, there are times when I will go back to my roots and do traditional, culturally significant art. And this is one of those times. This piece is for the Dia De Los Muertos show at La Bodega Gallery, which I participate in every year. I think a lot of my aesthetic I picked up from my dad because he's always loved horror stuff too. He was really into Big Daddy, Ed Roth, 1960s style, which I ended up sort of incorporating into my work. A lot of my character work that's original is very exaggerated and cartoony and very much kind of plays with that period in time. And that's kind of the history and development of my work. So let's get into my professional life and actually being an artist. So at San Diego State, I had a bit of a tough time. My pop art wasn't exactly well received. So I did kind of feel like an outsider, but I loved what I was doing. And so I persevered. I kept doing that. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to start doing shows locally. So I was embraced by Thumbprint Gallery and La Bodega Gallery, and I started showing with them regularly. And then some of the shows would taper off. I wouldn't fit into a lot of shows. So I found myself desperately struggling to show more and get my work out there. Along the way, I met some wonderfully talented independent curators. And I asked them, hey, how did you get started? And everyone in the local art community is so open with information. They're willing to tell you how to do things and get things off the ground. The encouragement and support of Thumbprint Gallery, I started guest curating art shows for them twice a month at Subterranean Coffee Boutique in Hillcrest and Subterranean Coffee Boutique in North Park. You can currently go there and see shows that I have put together. I do group exhibitions that are themed to particular things in pop cultures. So along with independent curating, which I fell in love with, I love putting together art shows. It's something that now that I'm doing, I can't imagine not doing. It's so much fun, and I love meeting new artists, seeing their work, and supporting the community. And I realized through talking with lots of local artists who do the same thing I do, we're all dark artists, our subject matters have to do with monsters and death and it's spooky, that we lack here locally. There's plenty of venues in LA and there's conventions all up north from San Diego, but there's nothing here in town that specializes in horror. So one night I was sitting thinking about this problem, and like a lightning bolt, the idea for Horrorgasm came to me. Initially it was going to be just like a small little art show, but I was like, it needs to be something bigger. So I contacted my now business partners, Atiba Royster, Melody de los Cobos, and Nixie Von Rose, and together we formed Horrorgasm, which was San Diego's first horror-themed art crawl. We had such a massive response from the community, from artists. Everyone was so into the concept that we decided to expand upon it. So this year, we're located at Queen Bee's Arts and Cultural Center in North Park. It's a much bigger venue, and it's going to be held on October 26th from 1 to 11 p.m. So if you are in the San Diego area in October, come and check us out. That's our big event. So we're just looking to keep growing and getting bigger and bigger as time comes along, because yeah, it's been such a wonderful and encouraging experience. I am so passionate about horror art, and I am so honored to be able to share the talent of our community, because the San Diego art scene is amazing and it doesn't get enough exposure or recognition. Aside from Horrorgasm, on top of art, if you follow me on social media, you have probably seen that I also say I am an aspiring writer. I am currently working on my first novel that is about La Llorona, the weeping woman. Again, this is another way of connecting with my culture. I grew up with Latin American folktales and stories like La Llorona. I wanted to bring that to the world. Now I'm subverting the mythology a bit with this current writing project, but I pay homage to my cultural roots this way. I've always been fascinated with Latin American folklore. It's always been really dark and interesting, and I want to bring it to mainstream American audiences because they're narratives and help see the lens through which we view the world. It's beautiful and inspiring, and it can be updated and subverted, and we can discuss topics through the lens of mythology that are relevant today. So I'm very excited to be writing this story, and I will keep you guys updated on my progress with it. I've just been working on it a lot. I'm currently in the process of editing and polishing. I'm almost finished, and I hope to very soon. If you want to see some of my other writing projects, I have been posted in the Werewolf Versus zine a few times. Some of my writing and my art has been featured there. I've done a little screenwriting, and that appears in Werewolves Versus Hollywood. You can actually buy it online, and I'll try to remember to link it in the description below. Yes, I love writing. I love curating. I do lots of things. I'm very busy all the time with something creative, but that's who I am. I find it very nourishing to exercise my creative voice in not just visual arts, but in curating and writing and event creation. So yes, I have a lot of expansive ideas, and I'm looking forward to sharing them all with you guys soon. I'm also very fortunate to have the love and support of my family. I know that's not always the case when you decide to go into a field that isn't traditional, and I am most definitely not traditional. I do have a day job. I'm a preschool teacher. I also teach art for the city that I live in. So I am working very hard. The art hustle and the grind is real. But I hope you enjoyed getting to know me a little, hearing about my life. And again, I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by a wonderful and encouraging family. My big brother, my little sister, my brother-in-law, her kids, my dad, Brandon, who is my partner and the love of my life. He has been with me since I was 17. And if you want, for Valentine's Day, I can tell you guys our story of how we met, how this man literally saved my life. That's a story for another time, but I'm surrounded by love and encouragement, and I am constantly floored by the talent of my business partners, by local artists. I'm a very, very lucky person to be able to live the life that I live. I feel I am incredibly blessed, so I have nothing but gratitude. I know that's not the case for a lot of people, but as I always say to the artists that I work with, I'm here for you. If you are an artist and you are struggling, or you want to be an artist but you are scared to make that leap, I'm here for you. Reach out to me. I would be happy to be encouraging for you, be a cheerleader, because sometimes sometimes that's all you need, is someone to tell you to go for it. If you're looking for permission to fight for your dream, I am giving it to you. Go for it. Hit it with everything you've got, because life is good and it gets better. It's when you are working towards something you are passionate about. I wish you nothing but success. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your dreams? As always, thanks for watching. I'm Jen, and let's keep it spooky, friends.